You're in sync. Usually we're a little bit off, but it was good. All right, so I'd like to open up the public comment section of our meeting. If anyone has anything to say, please step up to the podium. Name, address.
Bill Horth from 15 Orchard Street. I'm here tonight to encourage the board to support the grant that's in front of you tonight. I think it's a win-win for everybody, town, village, Rita, and mostly for Xerox, actually. You know, a lot of this stuff is going to help them out immensely, but that's going to change their whole landscape over there at, the Xerox campus, which will be a welcome thing. So we can get some new businesses and new endeavors going there. So. And I'd like to thank Leanne and Colliers for all their hard work and guidance through this process. So, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Greg Chambry, I run the nursing home, Maplewood at 100 Daniel Drive here in the village of Webster. And like Bill, we both serve as consultants on the WIDA board. And I think I speak for the entire board in saying this is a golden opportunity. My father told me at one time, son, you're going to get a lot of singles in life, and the home runs are very few. But you're looking at a home run here, so I'm in favor of the application.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks,
All right, if we have no one else, we'll close the public portion of the meeting, and now we have a presentation.
Yep.
Again, from Rita.
You have those slides with?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they have them right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want me to make sure this is on?
Yes, it is on them, yes.
It is on? Oh,
Yep.
okay. All right, so hi everyone. I know I was here 2 weeks ago, but I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Leanne Kimber. I'm Acting Executive Director for Webster Economic Development Alliance. I'm here tonight to give you an update on the FAST New York grant opportunity that we discussed 2 weeks ago. So when I was last here, we presented this opportunity for what was then a $9.3 million infrastructure grant to support several roadway project improvements, including several that are within the village. When I came to that meeting, we had received basically an additional request from ESD, Empire State Development, to include $500,000 in the grant request for electrical engineering master planning on the site. And that was new information as of 2 hours before the meeting, so I presented what I knew to all of you. You said I look forward to learning more about what that would entail. So we've gone back to ESD, we've gotten a little bit more information, and I'll share everything I know as of today with you tonight. So the slide that's up there right now that you have in front of you is the same thing you saw last time, just a map of the roadway projects that are included in the grant application within the village. That includes Orchard, Panama, Phillips Road Multimodal Trail, and Mitchell Dean Drive. You can go to the next slide.
Over there, Leanne.
Yeah, Heather's just advancing the slide. So that is a little small for me to see, but I'll do my best.
Do you have a copy of it? I have it.
If you have a copy, yeah, that'd be great. I thought I would be able to see it here and reference it.
Sorry.
So the printout you have in front of you is the latest reflection of the budget. Thank you. Appreciate it. I should have brought my own copy.
Sorry.
And if you go, so that's the latest copy of the budget. If you go to the next slide, there's a highlighted version that calls out exactly what the changes are. So I will just run through them line by line. Everything that's not highlighted is exactly the same as what you saw 2 weeks ago. The first change is that the town's sanitary sewer upgrades, the cost of that they've received information that it's gone up from $6.3 million to $7 million. So that doesn't affect the village at all, but that is being reflected in this overall budget. The second is the electrical infrastructure planning that we discussed, which is in the amount of $500,000. And then the third one is not really new to the grant, it just was not reflected in the numbers 2 weeks ago. So we are showing the HUD grant that the village has secured in the amount of $500,000 just within this line item budget. So the Fast New York Track C request has increased from 9.3 million to 9.8 million, which reflects the electrical infrastructure planning of 500,000. And then the total project cost has gone up to 17.3 million. So,
I think these are just the same document, because they're identical, completely identical.
Yeah. Like the highlighted one versus.
Yes,
one.
yes.
Looks like they're the same.
they are meant to be the same.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I thought you said you highlighted in yellow the changes, but they are identical.
I highlighted, yeah, they are identical. The changes are just reflected or shown, called out in the
Okay.
second version. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the 2 weeks ago version would have said $9.3 million request, now it's $9.8 million request. So what we know about this study or this additional piece that we didn't know about 2 weeks ago, we know it's going to involve planning activities that are going to be needed in order to bring sufficient power to the NEAT campus, the Northeast Area for Technology, to support strategic industrial development on that campus. It's going to include things like electrical engineering, capacity studies to figure out how much power is needed there, how we would get it there, the timeline for getting it there, and the cost of getting it there. Legal aspects of that, easement aspects of that could also be included in this planning study. As I said, the anticipated cost is $500,000. The only way in which this part of the request is different from all of the other elements is that because it's not related to construction, it is not bondable, so we can't finance it the way we would finance the other pieces of it. The town and village would have to make that $500,000 available upfront. It is not town and village money in the end, it is still part of the grant request and would still be reimbursed through the grant. It's just that you can't use construction financing to make that money available. It'd have to be available in your existing funds. So that's one caveat, a little bit different from the rest of the grant request. We know from conversations between the town, the village, and WIDA that town and village leadership have agreed that they would split the money in some fashion. So whether that's a 50-50 split, whether it's pro rata depending on the amount of impact or the amount of benefit to the town versus the village, that's something the town and village would work out during, development agreement phase after the grant was awarded. But the intent as of this time is not that the village would be responsible for the entire $500,000, nor the town would be responsible for that full amount. I mentioned 2 weeks ago that the financial commitment that is not reimbursable is that the town and village together have to come up with a 1% commitment fee on that total grant request. 2 weeks ago, that was 9.3 million, 1% of that, 93,000. Now it's 9.8, so now it's 98,000. Not a significant increase, it's an increase of $5,000 that again would be split between the town and village, but that is a slight increase in what the financial commitment of the town and village would be. So that's what we know. Things that we don't know, exactly what's going into this study that is, hasn't really been determined. That's something that ESD, NYSEG, NYISO would be working together with the town and the village to scope that out. We also don't know yet whether it would be the town or the village who would actually procure that work. So one entity has to be the one to hire the consultant to kind of lead that project. Again, that's something they would discuss, and I'm sure there would be coordination between town, village, and WIDA on the study itself. So where we kind of left it is that likely one entity would procure the work. There would probably be, a cost-sharing agreement between, say it's 50-50, and the village is going to procure it. Town would share $250,000 with the village to procure that work, but it would just kind of fall under the village's responsibility. Again, not sure how we'd split it, but that would be figured out after the award. So why should we do this? When we discussed with the town and village about a week ago, kind of the details of this and how we wanted to proceed, whether or not they would recommend including it in this proposal, The concern that was raised is the town and village do not want to, as, public entities do not want to be in the business of using public funds to improve private property. Philosophically, I think we would all agree that's not a precedent that we want to set. At the same time, I think philosophically, this is not that. This is a unique situation where a very small amount of money reflected in that 1% commitment fee is being used for an entire grant, of which this small part is this electroengineering master planning. Town, village, WIDA, the state all agree, based on the planning that's gone into this area so far, that this is something that they want to see. They want to see redevelopment on this campus. They want to see revitalization of the community. The way I see it and the way we discussed it with the town and the village leadership is that this is a way to keep that momentum going. So the roads are a necessary but not sufficient requirement in order to actually realize this redevelopment. The roads are kind of like the skeleton, the power, the sewer, the water, those are the organs that are going to get this campus back to life. And so I think this is an excellent opportunity to tack on an important piece of the planning process to something that's already happening, or hopefully already happening, should the award come through. So we talked about the financial concerns. Just to refresh, there would be an upfront process that would have to come out of town and village budget. I have had conversations with Danielle, the treasurer, and she has said, if just kind of going through a couple scenarios, if it was a 50-50 split, if it was $250,000 on the village, she felt comfortable that within your fund balance that you'd be able to cover that. So financially, I don't think there's a concern. We've talked about the philosophical concerns. There could be a concern about, this feels like a precedent of, paying for private investment. I think we all agree that that's not the case, and this would not set that sort of precedent because it's such a unique situation. So I think that can be set aside, but I just want to make you all abundantly aware of that and the conversations that the supervisor and the mayor have had. I think it makes a lot of sense to add this in, and could really be beneficial to keep the development process going towards implementation. So that's everything I have for you. And maybe you have questions. I'm happy to answer those, whether it's about that piece or anything related to the grant.
Do not.
Okay.
I think I agree with everything you said, so I think most of this board does.
Okay, great. All
I'm gonna
right,
ask you this last time, you probably can't answer it.
go ahead.
Everything
Timeline.
goes perfect and it's approved.
Yeah.
When do you think the process would start? Any idea? You probably can't even answer that. In a perfect world, when would it?
I mean, crystal ball, which is all I really have, is I would say, if we're submitting this grant proposal on April 1st, I bet we would have an answer by April 30th. And they'd be looking for us to start immediately after. I don't know, that's up to ESD. I don't know how quickly they're going to get us an answer. Because this whole thing is on a rolling basis, there's not like a fixed schedule for anything. But that would be sort of my crystal ball answer. And I can say, in terms of implementation, we would be targeting completing all of the work within 2 years, hopefully sooner.
So potentially starting end of 25, beginning of 26.
I would say start procuring consultants
The village's part,
May 25. maybe.
Jake can address this,
Yeah.
but the village's part is basically just milling and paving
Yeah.
Not much.
those three, which Jake,
Yeah.
you can get it done in a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the villages share this, the multimodal trail down Phillips Road will take longer, but this shouldn't go into the 2 years. And when it starts is, the first step would be the village has to take dedication of Orchard, Panama, and Mitchell first. Because the village can't do work on private roads, so it's gotta be in the public domain first. And that's basically, at this point, the ball's in Xerox's court. They have to provide us with an offer of dedication, they gotta give us a survey map, a legal description. So however long, Xerox is in the process of doing all that, but how long that takes to finish is largely up to Xerox. But then the offer of dedication would be similar to just what you did with the townhouses, you take the two resolutions, one to accept the offer of dedication, and the second one is to accept the deed. And once that's done, you know, Jake can, you know, it's like milling and paving other streets, you know? The one question I had about this slide, or this handout, was this gonna be submitted as part of the application?
Yes, that would be our
There's
sort
one
of
thing-
sources
one
and
thing
uses
that's-
of funds.
The one thing that's confusing to me is when you put the HUD grant in, the 500,000, that's actually a minus. That's not an extra cost. We're getting that money from the federal government.
I think,
So the total cost of the project isn't 17.3 million, it's really 16.8, because you gotta subtract the 500,000.
I think,
Because that's not a project.
I think that's a detail that we need to
Unless you wanna-
clarify with E
Well,
ESD.
unless you wanna change Orchard Panama reconstruction, you know, you wanna make that a lesser number, but 1.4 is the original estimate to do that.
Yeah,
You know, the same with the Phillips Road, you know, so if you want to, you know, if you want to reduce those for the 500,000, otherwise, to me, it's not 17.3 million, it's 16.8.
so I think that was a question that we asked to ESD that we haven't gotten a clear answer on. Whether-
Christian said he was agnostic was the word he used. as to
Agnostic on whether to
whether
include
to
this in the
include it or
grant,
not.
in the project,
Right,
yeah.
he really
Yeah.
didn't care one
Yeah.
way or the other.
I think before submitting the grant, we'll clarify,
It's just, to me, this is misleading. It's not 17.
Well, wouldn't you want clarity before you do a resolution though?
Well, no, the resolution is still the same. It's still a 9.8 million grant, one way or the other. If you look at the wording of the resolution,
Yeah, so
the
you're-
resolution doesn't
Our
reflect
portion.
the total project cost.
I got you.
The resolution is basically simply to authorize WIDA to apply for a 9.8 million Fast New York Track C grant.
yeah, so the HUD grant does not impact the grant
Yeah.
request.
Right.
It is a question of whether it will be a part of the total project.
Well, you'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
Between now and April 1st.
We're now in April 1st.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions for Lillian? No? Does anyone object to us moving down to number 5? And doing that now?
I'm gonna sit down, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any reason not to? Don?
Hey, you're the chairperson of this meeting, so. you
All right.
wanna
I
skip-
just want to make sure my legal counsel is
No,
supporting
you
me.
can do that. I can tell you, we had a Teams video meeting this afternoon with Leanne, and Daryl was participated. At the end of it, he had 2 questions. One was, again, about the dedication, whether the roads had to be dedicated first before the village did any work, and I said, yes, it had to be dedicated first. His other question centered around moving the boundary and how that might impact, you know, because on the west campus, the village-town boundary goes right through some of those buildings, and Xerox ultimately wants that entire parcel to be in the village, to market it and potential rezoning and that stuff. And so he asked, when should that occur? It's mostly up to Xerox because they have to initiate the boundary line movement process under New York State law. But I told him, as far as this project is concerned, it really doesn't matter. The only impact might be on how much of Panama Street is a village road or a town road. Because at one point, you know how Panama curves into Chiota, and I'm not exactly sure where, well, right now, I guess the change in the name occurs at the municipal boundary. So if the boundary goes up, a little more of Panama will be in the village than is in the village today. So that's really the only, so it'll be just a little more village road maintain and plow and that kind of thing, but.
Yeah, but that's not much.
It does, no, it's not much, and that doesn't have to happen first, it can happen
Right.
later. But again, it's all up to Xerox as to when, because they have to initiate the process, they gotta tell us what. Because we're not gonna do it piecemeal, because they wanna move other boundaries, you know, east of Phillips too, and so they gotta tell us, the town and the village, you know, some's gonna go to the town, some's gonna go to the village, and the thought is that we'll have joint town-village public hearing on the change, and make it all happen at once.
Makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So those were Daryl's 2 questions.
Good questions. So if nobody else has anything, I'd be looking for a motion to authorize
motion.
WIDA to apply for the Fast New York grant in the amount of $9.8 million on behalf of the village.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in
Justin.
favor?
Oh, I like that.
Aye. Good.
I love a good all in favor.
I did.
All right. Motion passes. Or should I be like Daryl? Yeah. All right, that's good news.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Heather, just get Leanne a nice official looking clerk signing a copy of the resolution.
Thank
I'll send
you.
you a pretty copy.
Thank you. All right, take care.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Letters go.
Thank you.
I bill there.
All right, so, continue with board business. I want to look at getting a motion to approve the minutes from March 13th, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
1 second.
Trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy, trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Abolito.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, so we're going to seek a motion to approve the claims and warrants. I know that Mr. Belkane and myself reviewed the bills. I did not have any questions.
I reviewed the bills, I'm okay.
Mr. Belkane, you usually throw a good question in there.
I'm good, I was good this time. No, not the votes.
I was gonna ask any crazy nuts or bolts.
Yeah.
All right, all you guys know the routine.
I'll make a motion to approve the. Now, second.
All right.
Trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Abolito.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, so tonight, now we're gonna get into it here a little bit, all right? I'm looking for a motion to set a public hearing on the tentative budget for the 25 and 26 fiscal year for April 10th, 2025 at 7:15 PM.
So did you give them the budget?
She did.
Yes.
Okay.
You have it too. The next agenda item is for
Oh, that's
clerk
in
to
this
the,
whole treasurer stuff?
She just gets around a little bit.
that's some updates from you from Danielle as well as the budget.
All right.
The next item says clerk to distribute, but I figured I'd just give it to you now.
Right, well, they should actually have the budget before they
She
set the
did
public
these guys so they
hearing.
can get out of it,
Oh,
That's the only
okay.
reason I asked.
Good idea.
It's not the other way around.
right? And please note, the public hearing will take place after the budget presentation.
This is something new, calling the village clerk to register to speak at a public hearing.
Yeah, I kind of
Never
put it
saw
on
that
there
before.
the last couple of years, if someone wants to. It's not required, but
Right, the only reason I ask is, I never see that on any other notice of a public hearing.
Yeah.
it's been on there the last 4 years.
No, well, maybe for the budget, but I'm talking about,
Yeah.
the board holds public hearings on all sorts of stuff.
We used to do
And
it
I've
at
never seen it.
legislature. I don't
Well,
normally do that.
the town does that, which I'm kind of not in favor of.
Oh,
But
please
you shouldn't,
rescind
you
that.
shouldn't have to register to speak to come to a meeting that's open to the public.
No, that's not very open and transparent.
Yeah.
Let's get it off.
Yeah.
Aye,
Don, you're on top of your game today.
Right now.
He is, that's why I like him.
Coffee.
So, I know we're all giggling, but I'm still looking for a motion.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Abolito?
Alright,
Motion passes.
now we're looking for an authorization for our village treasurer to sign an engagement letter for MMB to perform the village's 2025 annual audits.
One, Danielle also distributed, at least I got it, an engagement letter for I think it's the deferred compensation account or something like that. There's a second engagement letter,
I don't think we have that one.
which is not in front of you.
Nope.
Which, oops. I looked at both of them. They're both fine,
She
but
sent one to me separate, and then she also sent it to you, so I assumed it was the same thing. I'm sorry.
No.
Somebody
Two.
isn't on their game.
they're two separate letters of engagement.
Oh, there are.
But you don't have the second one. The second one's shorter, they do it every year, it's for the, I think it's the deferred compensation account, is that right, Heather? Something
Yes.
like that?
Apologies. She's old.
They can just do that one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The second.
Okay. I can,
Sure.
If you want me to, I can print it right now.
Okay.
It's totally up to you.
Okay, that one was like $1,800 or something like that.
There is an engagement letter for the one, yes,
For
but
just-
there's supposed to be
Yes,
two.
yeah.
All right, so we're just gonna ask for a motion on the
Yeah.
one, and then we'll do the other one.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion on that, this
Thanks.
one.
I'll second.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Abolito?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. You did that. You did that.
I did.
Don't worry. All right, so then we're gonna be looking for a motion for some general fund budget modifications. So from a record management, $1,200 to legal.
Mhm.
Town taxes is insurance of $59 to taxes on village property. Podium, wireless microphones, and audio cable power strips. I mean, these are beautiful. We're taking that from White Christmas and moving it to meeting broadcast for $724 and a sewer rate study. We're taking that from computer hardware software to legal for $1,300. So if everyone is okay with that, I would ask for a motion to approve budget mods.
I'll make that motion. Okay.
Thanks, Carl. Very small.
I'll second it, Carl.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Trustee Abolito?
Aye.
Motion passes.
So as we jump into other business, there is a letter for West Webster Fire District.
Mhm.
Did all get a chance to read this?
Yeah, I want to utilize the well fields.
So potential access of the use of the Village of Webster Willfield property off of DeWitt offers some unique features and would be greatly benefit their training programs.
I would just offer you a caveat.
Yep,
It's zoned, it's in the town, not in the village. It's zoned residential. It's not zoned for fire department training uses. My suggestion would be to have the West Webster Fire District go to the town. And if the town says it's okay to do it there, then if you guys want to allow it, okay.
Oh.
But I would make them go to the town, not the village go to the town.
Jake, I can read your mind on something's coming.
No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
This is one thing, and I think,
Because the village has had complaints from the town before with unauthorized things being done both on that property and at the sewage treatment plant. So we want to keep nice relations, you know, with the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if it'd be beneficial to even have a board member or two meet with Mert there as a representative from the West Webster Commissioners to get a little clarification on about what scope it is. I mean, are you talking about having live fire training down there? Or is it, you know, hey, someone's down in the woods and we're gonna go in there and find them? This is a little different than burning or cutting up cars and
So Al knows him, so maybe you reach out and the two of us can meet with him if you want,
Sure.
and then we'll,
I went to high school with them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
some
yeah,
sort of
that's
relation.
not bad.
yeah, I've got it.
No, Mark's a
Mark's a good guy.
Yeah, I've got his number, he called me today, wondered, I said, hey, we got a meeting tonight, so we're gonna.
all right, so we'll take that on.
Mention to him about the zoning issue and
Yeah.
if it's, they gotta clear it with the town first. If the town's
But I'm-
okay with it, then.
I agree with Jake, let's figure out what they're really wanting for first, and then we'll have them go to the town, just so we both understand it. It's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Want the boys from the Webster Fire
Or just
Department to be able to use it too.
No, just everybody's.
I think you mentioned it in there.
Yeah, I'm sure they
Yeah.
really work and play well together all the time.
All right, so we'll let the minutes note, action on for Alan,
Yeah.
Jerry,
And then-
Jerry to
And the
connect.
other thing, is this a one-shot deal, or are they gonna expect like,
Right.
every year to be able to use that property to do this training?
Well, I think that's why it's important to sit with them and understand it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Donna, looks like it is your turn.
I think I've talked enough tonight.
I wasn't gonna mention that, but
So I cede my time to the superintendent of public works.
Mo,
We've got nothing, all right.
When is Jake's turn?
he's down a little ways yet. Let's go over to code.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, 11 applications, 7 permits issued. CFOs were 3, CSCs were 6, and we had 4 zoning board applications. We have 2 neighbors that would like to put a shared fence on their property line at 208 and 212 Dunning. And they will need a encroachment agreement approved by the board. Jake, myself, and John from the sewer department have all been out there looking at it, and we don't have any issues with it. So we're bringing it to the board to approve.
Wait, so this fence is gonna go somewhere?
So there's gonna be a shared fence on the property line. Not entirely sure that the easement is depicted correctly.
What is this, a sewer easement?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a sewer that runs out through here, so we're just.
And the fence is gonna go right down the middle of the easement?
No, it's gonna be off to the side of the easement or any,
That's kind of.
So part of the encroachment agreement is that,
Right down the middle.
I didn't get something.
What's the encroachment?
The first one.
For the offer.
Here's completed distance, here's like 6 or 8.
So-
This is about 6 or 8 feet away from the existing fence that they're replacing. I mean, the sewer line itself is about 6 to 8 feet
yeah, I don't
north of
think,
the existing fence.
yeah, I don't think that the easement is depicted correctly on the survey.
Oh, good.
But part of that encroachment agreement is that they don't put the fence directly over the sewer main.
Yeah, within
Right,
3 feet,
right.
right?
Yeah, and they also have multiple panels and gates that, will allow us to get through.
Okay.
You're good, and Jake is good. I'm good.
We want to go with Don's good, but he didn't want to talk anymore today.
Oh, he's gotta be good with the document,
So
but
well, this is the first I've seen the final document.
Oh.
I suggested some changes, but then I never
I'll
saw if they were
figure it out.
incorporated or not. And you actually have in your packet
Yeah.
from Chris is the actual
Yeah.
agreement,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't realize it was in the stuff, so I
Yeah.
looked through it.
We have to find the library page of the easement that was filed, but we'll do that before anybody signs it anyways.
So do you need more time to look at this, Don?
Why does he?
Hmm? I don't know what that is.
This is just, oh, I'm sorry, this is just for the one at 208?
So
212 is,
that is the, yeah, 212, Rob came in recently. So that's why I added it to the description of what we need to have approved. I will do his separately,
okay.
but it will be the same minus the owners. Same easement.
Who owns the fence?
Well, I guess that's between the neighbors to figure out. If it's on the property
Well,
line.
usually where the fence posts are, there's a good side of the fence and a bad side of the fence.
Unless they double paneling.
So
How can they both own the fence? That to me sounds impractical.
well, they don't both own it, I guess. Yeah, you're right. I think Rob would be the owner.
And one just helping pay
Well,
for
yeah,
it.
because the permit application shows Patricia, I believe her name is, attaching to the fence on the, was it east and west side. So I believe Rob is gonna be the one who places the fence on the property line.
That's this Robert Peppenstall, is that?
No, Rob's saving it.
Saving it.
Rob did.
Oh, well, so that's the one that's not in front of us.
So the highlighted portion is what 208's putting in.
Yeah, so Rob will have a separate permit
Yes.
application.
And he's gonna do like the existing green line there where you can see the existing fence.
I'm all confused.
Here's this.
How wide is the sewer easement?
Rob's doing the east to west line here. She's doing it
It's
here,
either, it's 15.
here.
15 foot.
She's got some existing fences.
Oh, wait a minute. They're not putting a fence along Dunning Avenue,
No,
right? So he's putting up a new fence all the way, he's gonna fence in his entire property?
here it's here. He's putting a fence here. She's tying into it. Well, not all the way here, but start back here. She's tying into it here, tying from here to this neighbor's fence, and then connecting the dots.
Right, but they need a fence permit, but otherwise, we don't care about this part of the fence. We only care about this one that's in the easement. So whoever owns, if that's 212 that's actually putting up the fence that's in the easement,
Yeah.
that's the one that's,
So you don't
We
really,
need
that's
a
the
vote.
one that's gotta do the encroachment agreement.
I think we need a vote.
She's doing two spots that are crossing the easement,
Yeah.
perpendicular to the
But
easement.
it's not her fence.
Well, it's gonna be, the stuff on her side is gonna be perpendicular to the easement and the
But-
fence, and she's just butting into his fence.
so they're not gonna be putting this fence up next week by any means, so maybe we just get,
They'd like to.
But it doesn't matter that the fence, at some point is off the property line, which I don't quite understand, but, why is it, I don't know the directions here, but why is it going a little to the west as you get to the backyard?
That'd be south.
It's hard to see. But that's between the two neighbors, that
Yeah.
the fence owned by 212 Dunning encroaches on the property at 208. That's
No.
got nothing to do with the
No.
village.
They're on their own properties. They're gonna be putting the one fence down in the middle of their property, their shared property line. And both of them are gonna have crossings from the easement, the property line, into their properties.
And here's the easement, this is the encroachment. Here's her property line. She's going from her house to this fence. So it's gonna get within the easement, these black lines of the easement.
Oh, just this little,
Yeah.
Yeah, here and
this
here.
little teeny part where it connects to the houses?
Yeah, and here and one back here where it's within the easement area.
All right, well, it's, all right.
so,
So
should
that's
we just get the other one?
This
too,
little
and
part
just
and this
do
little
this
part.
one?
It's the same-
People's fence.
Yeah.
It's the same
This,
encroachment grader,
this
Yeah.
part,
the signatures
and this
are
part
gonna
is
change.
this guy's.
That's
Yes.
it.
So you do need
And
two.
the address. But it will be the same.
What do you think, Don? I wanna make sure you're good with it,
Big of a deal.
make sure.
No, I don't have a problem with it, but you're missing one of them.
Yeah, I did not include 212s in here
Why not?
because we're just approving the encroachment agreement. The second shirt, I get.
No, but they're encroaching too, because it's their fence. You need one from each property owner.
So let's just move this to the 10th of April. So
Well, you can do the one for 208, but you also need an encroachment agreement for 212.
Could you, could they approve it pending your approval if the language is exactly the same, you just change the numbers? Because I
Guys are
know,
messing
I've seen stakeouts called in for the fence already
Yeah.
and for the permits. So,
Well, where is it?
It's in my office.
Well, go grab it. I'd rather have, the board look at something before they approve it, rather than.
Yeah, that's, I was suggesting you just table it to the
If
10th.
you have it in your office, just go grab it.
Well, I'm gonna have to write it up. I didn't write his up yet, but it's just changing the name.
Well,
Let's table
Yeah.
just changing this or I'm saving it 212,
Yeah.
Robin Ferry.
Yeah.
look, it's up to this board. As their attorney, I would not recommend them approving something they haven't seen.
it. Let's table
Not
it
that
to
not
April
that I
10th.
don't trust you as to what's gonna be in it, but until you actually see it,
All right.
especially it's a legal document that's gonna get recorded in the Monroe County Clerk's office,
Do I need to make a motion to table?
Yeah.
Well, you can do the one for 208, but you definitely gotta,
That's fine. We can bring that.
Just
you
just
definitely
go
gotta
through
table
both
the
of the
212 one. Or you can wait and do both of them at the
Yeah,
same
do.
time.
Wait and do both of them.
You all right with that?
Sure.
They already have their fence people scheduled.
They don't have a permit yet, so,
Oh, okay, they don't have the permit.
no. It's contingent upon this
Okay,
getting
well,
approved.
And then,
Yeah.
and then someone needs to look up the library page number of these.
Yeah, just made those.
Yeah, I think just making sure Don's okay with
Yep,
this.
not a problem.
Yeah, I just gotta figure
Other
out
than
if
the
it's
change.
Village Manor,
No,
section
but
6,
we should do
it's just gonna be in that
They
big
live
rig,
right
and I'll
once.
figure out what lot number, and
All right.
lot chance, but I think it's a lot number.
I work for Attorney's Way.
So I'll make a motion to table this to April 10th. And if anyone's upset about it, just say it was Jake's decision.
You don't even.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
You don't
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, that's
Oh, that makes sense.
You're just gonna carry that both over till the 10th.
You don't have to, because it wasn't even on the agenda yet,
Okay.
so, unless you want to.
Just shows.
Heather, you're in charge, if that's how you feel.
I'm
But can we do the deferred comp audit? I didn't have it, so I have it now.
It may
It's
just
right
show
in front.
up on the file.
The what?
subdivision.
The deferred comp audit is in front of you now. I didn't have it before, now I do.
And that's right there,
Apologies.
135 of that, page 7.
So,
But you can change that.
we already did this though.
Either way. you can
This is the
reference
second one.
Oh.
The subdivision map, or you can reference the actual. Either way, probably easier just to.
Just so that you do it together, don't forget.
fiber block.
All right, you guys, so I'm gonna ask for a motion. You have the second one here, right?
Sorry.
Yeah.
The fee engagement of $4,000.
Yes.
Want to look at it quickly? If you have any questions? Pretty much is the same as the other one.
Yeah, they just audit, the employees deferred comp.
Compensation, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. You got the other one in front of you, Don.
What are we doing now?
Heather got the other one for us of the audit from MMB
Oh,
on the compensation.
right. Yeah, this one was a lot shorter,
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
and it was okay. It was, it's $4,000, a little more than, I thought it was gonna be. I couldn't remember.
It's from the tariffs.
Well, this is simpler than what they did last year, because they're both just flat fees. Before it was confusing whether they were charging hourly, or was it a flat fee, or what.
Yeah.
Here they just put it as a flat fee, which is
better.
better.
Much easier.
Right.
No matter how much time it takes.
So, looking for a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right.
Trustee Lauer,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Belkane, trustee Alito.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Clerk, do you have anything else to sign? No, thank you. All right. Val, do you have anything else?
No, except that we wanted to know, we're looking to revisit our auditor again for the upcoming year because the costs have a lot. So we want to kind of revisit and get some quotes again. Don actually gave us a company the last time, and we forgot the name, so I wanted to ask you. It was somebody in the city that does audits too, and you gave us a list, and I can't remember who it was. It wasn't somebody that Marcia had called, but
EFPR,
yes. So that's all. We're just gonna be looking into maybe switching again.
they do my taxes. Well, actually, it's Vince Tomei is the CPA. He's the husband of my former law partner. That's how I put it.
Good guy. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr. Schmidt?
I really don't have anything, other than, so I'm gonna reserve my time for next time. But, there is a spring cleanup, the 28th of April. Gonna do the leaf pickup part of it and your debris, and then on the 5th of May, it's gonna be the, brush pickup. And those are both Monday mornings. So what we do is one trip around, so if everybody has the stuff out on Sunday night, we'll go, pick it up and start making a trip. Sometimes we'll do it in 2 days, sometimes it'll take 8 days. So, but we go around one time, just to remind people to bring it out so I have it out there Sunday nights when we.
What are the dates again?
The 28th of April is the, leaves, and the 5th of May is the brush.
Okay.
But it's something that we started 5 or 6 years ago, and it's really,
It works.
pretty popular, and,
It works.
I
just want to call my landlord to remind me.
you know, yeah, get this stuff out.
Did you say April 20th or 28th?
28th.
28th.
Thank you.
28th is leaf pickup and the 5th is brush pickup with May.
Yeah, I mean, that's when we're starting it, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, again, just to remind everybody, have them out there that Sunday, so, you know, a lot of times you start going by, pick them up, and then people start putting them out behind you, and then call up and say, hey.
I didn't get, yeah.
Make sure you put them in the gutters.
Yeah, so not in the gutters, thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
People
My
are
neighbors are already do that.
Oh, what if they're watching, Jerry?
It's all right. They didn't go for me anyway. All right. So with that being said, our next meeting, village board meeting, will be Thursday, April 10th, which will also be the public hearing. And we'll also review these documents. And next board meeting after that, I'm not sure why we have to advertise that, because we should advertise that on the 10th, but that will be the 24th. And now I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Like it.
It's nice working with you guys tonight.
Aye.
You gonna all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Daryl, anyone opposed?
Hi, Daryl. Is Daryl even watching?
He's back live.
Yeah, he's watching. Making sure we're not spending any money, actually.
All right,